Two clicks of a gate lock turned a peaceful neighborhood into chaos, and when HOA Karen screamed shared property. She didn't know this story would end with her biggest humiliation. Ethan Miller had lived in Maple Grove for 3 quiet years. He worked hard, kept his lawn clean, and never caused trouble. The only thing he valued more than peace was privacy. That's why he installed a clean black metal gate at the entrance of his side driveway. It wasn't fancy. It was safe, simple, and legal. His mother had moved in recently, and Ethan wanted to protect her from strangers cutting through their property, but the HOA president, Karen Whitlock, didn't like seeing any homeowner act independent. She walked the neighborhood like she owned it, smiling sweetly while keeping mental notes of every little detail. The first time Karen saw the locked gate, she stopped like she'd been insulted. She marched up to Ethan's door and tapped her clipboard. "You can't lock that," she said sharply. Ethan stayed calm. "It's my driveway. It's on my property line." Karen's lips tightened. "This community has shared access. People walk through there all the time." Ethan blinked. "Not anymore." Karen leaned in, eyes cold. "Then you'll regret it." That night, Ethan saw cars pulling up near his gate. A group of strangers stood outside, confused, annoyed. And Karen was right behind them, smiling like she was setting a trap. The next morning, Ethan woke up to angry knocks and louder voices. Karen had invited her guests again, except they weren't family or friends. They were HOA supporters, neighbors she had stirred up with one sentence: "Ethan is blocking shared property." Ethan stepped outside and saw Karen standing near the gate like a queen at a ceremony. Behind her were 5 people holding drinks, acting like they belonged there. Karen pointed at the lock. "Remove it. Right now." Ethan's jaw tightened. "This isn't shared property. This is my side driveway." One man scoffed. "We've walked here for years." Ethan looked at them calmly. "That doesn't make it yours." Karen's voice rose. "This community is built on shared access and trust. You're breaking that." Ethan felt his mother watching from the window, nervous. He lowered his voice. "Karen, stop bringing strangers to my home." Karen smiled like she had been waiting for that. "Strangers? These are residents. And they have rights." That afternoon, the HOA posted a public notice: "Unauthorized gate restricting shared access." The comments were brutal. Ethan was called selfish, rude, even dangerous. The neighborhood that once smiled now stared. Then came the fine, $250 a day until the gate was restored to community access. Ethan didn't panic. He didn't remove the lock. Instead, he did something Karen never expected: he ordered a property survey. And hired a lawyer. And when the surveyor placed bright orange flags along the ground, Karen's smile finally began to fade. The orange flags cut through Maple Grove like a warning line. Neighbors slowed their cars to stare. Karen walked up fast, heels clicking, pretending she wasn't nervous. "What is this?" she demanded. Ethan stood beside the surveyor, calm and focused. "It's the property line." Karen laughed loudly, forcing confidence. "Everyone knows that path is shared." The surveyor didn't even look at her. He hammered a stake into the soil and said, "Ma'am, this driveway and the access strip are fully within Mr. Miller's lot. Not HOA property." Karen's face tightened for half a second, then she snapped back into performance mode. "That's impossible." Ethan opened a folder and held up city records. Permit. Map. Lot plan. Everything. Karen's voice turned sharp. "You're manipulating the system." But Ethan wasn't done. He had already spoken to the city, and they confirmed the same thing: the HOA had no authority over that section. Karen walked away without another word, but Ethan could feel it. She wasn't retreating. She was planning. That night, Ethan's security camera sent an alert. Motion detected near the gate. He checked the footage and froze. A figure was at the lock, crouched low, trying to force it open. Then another shadow appeared, holding something shiny. The gate shook slightly, like someone was trying to create damage. Ethan's heart pounded. He zoomed in. The porch light flickered on, revealing the face for one clear moment. It was Karen Whitlock. She wasn't defending shared property. She was trying to sabotage his gate to blame him later, and Ethan realized. This fight was no longer about a lock, it was about exposing the truth. The next morning, Karen walked into the HOA meeting acting proud, like nothing happened. She spoke about community unity while Ethan sat quietly, listening. When it was his turn, Ethan stood up slowly. "I have a question," he said calmly. "How many people here have been told that my driveway is shared property?" Hands rose. "Many," Karen smiled. "See? Everyone knows." Ethan nodded. "Then why did you try to break my gate last night?" The room went silent. Karen blinked. "Excuse me?" Ethan connected his laptop to the screen. "I have video footage." Karen's smile froze. The video played, Karen sneaking near the gate, crouching, pulling at the lock, trying to force it. The audio captured her whispering. "This will teach him." Gasps filled the room. Someone covered their mouth. Another neighbor whispered, "No way." Karen jumped up, furious. "This is edited." Ethan's lawyer stood beside him and spoke clearly. "This footage has metadata. Time stamps. Location confirmation." Karen's face turned red. "You're spying on the community." Ethan replied softly, "No. I'm protecting my home." Karen tried to flip the story. She shouted that Ethan was dangerous, controlling, paranoid. But the room had changed. The audience she built was now staring at her with suspicion. Then a board member asked quietly, "Karen, why were you there at midnight?" Karen couldn't answer. She stormed out of the meeting, slamming the door. But before leaving, she hissed at Ethan, "You just made this worse." 2 days later, Ethan received a certified letter. The HOA was suing him, claiming the gate blocked emergency access, and Karen had arranged a special inspection with the police. When the police car rolled into Maple Grove, Karen stood beside it like she was directing a movie scene. A small crowd gathered, phones out, ready for drama. Officer Daniels stepped out, professional and calm. Karen rushed to him, speaking fast. "He locked shared property. He's blocking emergency access. He's violating community rules." Ethan walked out holding documents. His mother stood behind him, anxious but proud. Officer Daniels looked at Ethan. "Sir, we need to check if this gate blocks a public path." Ethan nodded and handed him the survey papers. "It's private property." The city confirmed it. The HOA lied. Karen scoffed loudly. "That's fake," the officer read carefully. Then he walked to the gate, checking the layout. He radioed something quietly, then turned back to Karen. "Ma'am," he said, "this isn't shared property. It's private access." Karen's eyes widened. "No. That can't be right." Officer Daniels stayed calm. "Also, emergency access is not blocked. There's a separate route." Karen's voice cracked. "Then fine him for refusing HOA rules." The officer frowned. "HOA rules aren't police matters." The crowd murmured. Karen's face tightened, and for the first time, her confidence slipped, but Ethan wasn't finished. He stepped forward and said clearly, "Officer, I also need to report attempted property damage." Karen snapped her head toward him. "What?" Ethan held up the footage again. "I have proof." Officer Daniels looked at Karen, then at the screen. His expression changed. Karen whispered, "This is a misunderstanding." But the officer replied firmly, "Ma'am, this doesn't look like a misunderstanding." And that's when Karen realized she couldn't control the story anymore. The lawsuit moved fast. Karen thought Ethan would fold under pressure. She expected him to remove the gate quietly, apologize publicly, and become another HOA lesson. Instead, Ethan showed up to court with a lawyer, a surveyor, city records, and multiple witnesses. Karen arrived dressed perfectly, acting confident. But her eyes kept darting toward Ethan's folder, like she feared what was inside. The judge listened carefully as Karen's attorney claimed the gate restricted community movement. Karen even cried a little, pretending she felt unsafe, Then Ethan's lawyer stood. "Your Honor," Ms. Ramirez said, "this case is built on a lie." She submitted the survey. The city confirmation. The HOA emails where Karen ordered fines anyway. Then she played the midnight footage. The courtroom went still, Karen's face drained of color. She tried to interrupt, but the judge raised a hand. Then Mrs. Carter, an elderly neighbor, stepped forward. Her voice trembled, but her words were strong. "Karen told us it was shared property. She used us." Another neighbor admitted Karen threatened them with fines if they didn't support her. The judge looked directly at Karen. "Ms. Whitlock, did you knowingly misrepresent private property as shared HOA access?" Karen swallowed hard. I believed it was shared." The judge replied calmly, "Then why were you recorded attempting to break the lock at night?" Karen's lips shook. No answer came. Ethan sat still, heart pounding, but his face calm. The judge leaned forward. "This court does not reward abuse of authority." Karen's lawyer whispered urgently, suggesting settlement, but Ethan's lawyer said, "We're not here to settle. We're here for accountability." And that's when the judge announced something that made Karen's breath stop: the court would review damages against her personally. Karen's confidence finally collapsed. She sat stiff, hands locked together, eyes wide as the judge read the decision like a final chapter. "The HOA president used her position to pressure a homeowner," the judge said. "She spread false information, issued unlawful fines, and attempted to create evidence through sabotage." Karen whispered, "That's not fair." The judge didn't react. Fairness is exactly what this court is restoring. Ethan's mother wiped tears quietly. Ethan stared forward, barely breathing. Then the judge delivered the twist the entire neighborhood would talk about for years: the HOA is ordered to cancel all fines immediately. Mr. Miller's legal fees will be covered. And due to the personal misconduct shown on video, Ms. Whitlock will be held financially responsible. Karen's head snapped up. "What?" The judge continued calmly, "You cannot scream shared property while breaking into private property at midnight." Karen's face turned pale. Her lawyer looked defeated. Outside court, reporters asked Karen questions, but she walked away in silence. No clipboard. No fake smile. No control. Back in Maple Grove, the HOA board voted to remove Karen. Neighbors who once judged Ethan came to apologize. Some even thanked him for standing up. Ethan returned home and locked the gate one more time. This time, the click sounded different, like peace. Because the gate was never the real issue, it was power, and Ethan proved that even in an HOA neighborhood, truth can win, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you love the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.